Have you ever had a dream that didn't just feel symbolic, but felt like your soul was trying to show you something? I had one of those dreams. I was standing in a room full of people I knew, friends, family, familiar faces, sharing my truth about neurodivergence, about the way I see reality as a spiritual being with autism and ADHD. But no one listened. They all walked away, and when I tried to shout, my throat closed. My voice disappeared. In today's episode, I'm sharing the deeper meaning behind this dream, how it mirrors the very real wounds many of us carry around being silenced, dismissed, and unseen. And most importantly, how we reclaim our voice even when no one seems to hear it. Keep listening. Welcome to the Inner Magic Academy podcast. If you're loving our videos, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks and enjoy this episode. Welcome, I'm your host Peter Magic, and if you've ever felt like your truth made others uncomfortable or that your voice was too much for the world to handle, this episode is for you. As someone living with autism and ADHD, I've spent my life navigating spaces that didn't make room for how I expressed myself. And this dream hit hard because it revealed a pattern that so many of us carry. The fear that no matter how true, raw, or soul-led our message is, we'll be left behind for sharing it. But what if losing your voice isn't the end of your truth? What if it's the initiation to reclaiming it more powerfully than ever? The key themes we'll explore today are the spiritual symbolism of losing your voice in dreams, how rejection sensitivity and abandonment trauma shape expression, why neurodivergent voices are often dismissed or misunderstood, the throat chakra, nervous system shutdown and masking, reclaiming your voice as a soul-led, sensitive and intuitive being, and speaking even when it's uncomfortable, and why your voice is sacred. So the key question to today's podcast is, what truth within you have you been silencing to be accepted by people who were never meant to understand you? Let's dive in. The first segment we're going to get into is the dream that brought it all up. So I had a dream the other day, and in this dream, I remember being in a room full of people, and in this room I had family, I had friends, and I had all familiar faces that I've seen before somewhere. And I remember in this dream that I was speaking up about how I see reality as a neurodivergent being, how I actually see it through a spiritual lens. And I remember speaking truth, speaking a lot of truth. I don't remember the specifics on what I was talking about, but I know that the topic was all around neurodivergence and just expressing myself. And no one in the room seemed to understand me. And I also remember that people were judging me, people were laughing behind my back, and there was all sorts of things going on around this room. And then I remember everyone just leaving, and they were going upstairs somewhere. They all just left upstairs, and I could hear them talking in the background, but I couldn't see anybody. So I was here all by myself, and in that moment, I felt myself wanting to scream, wanting to shout, and I felt my throat closing up. I could not speak. I couldn't say anything. And I was screaming inside, but nothing would come out. And when I woke up, I do remember this dream. Like, this was the first thing that came up. And what this actually triggered within this dream is the dream brought up layers of emotional memory. So, feeling misunderstood as a child. So this was something, that reminded me of my childhood and how those around me, family, friends, I just felt so misunderstood by everybody. And it didn't matter what I would say. I just felt like no one was really listening. As a child, this was the pattern, this was the cycle, and I really struggled to really express myself more authentically and openly around people, and I was afraid of being judged and for whatever I wanted to share. I just felt like you know, people never accepted me for me being me. So that's why I wore this mask as a child, because I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted people to accept me, and so that's what I did as a child, right? Just to mask in order to feel more secure, right? So this is what this brought up, and also being dismissed when I spoke from my heart. So whenever I would open up and express myself in the past, no one ever validated me, you know, and I felt emotionally neglected by, you know, my mother. My father was absent because I was abandoned as a child. So I just felt no matter how I expressed myself, whatever I shared from my heart, that it was never accepted by those around me, and they never actually took the time to better know and understand my heart and really validate whatever I was experiencing, whatever I was going through, whatever I was sharing. I just never felt it was actually being received and being heard, and them holding the space for me. And that aching fear of being alone when I speak my truth. And this is something that it took me a very long time to start to share on social media and speak my truth. And there was so much fear, and I really struggled when I first started to share videos and speak my truth. And I felt my throat chakra was, it took a long time for me to overcome that anxiety and all the things that would come from me speaking and sharing. All right, and there was a lot of the times in the beginning that my throat never felt, fully open, and I never felt like I could fully express myself freely. And so these are all of the things that this brought up. And when I look at this from a spiritual lens, you know, losing your voice in a dream often points to a blocked throat chakra, what I was just saying, a karmic or energetic suppression of truth. It's not just symbolic, it's your soul calling attention to where you're still abandoning your truth to be accepted. And so when I look at this from a spiritual lens, when I look at this dream and I really start to unpack it, it's all of it is based on the journey that I'm on. And now that I'm sharing and I'm expressing myself, and you know, I'm feeling more free and open, and I'm feeling more aligned in how I'm expressing myself now. But it took me a very long time to get here. But even now, when I'm sharing and so forth, like, I'm still not able to reach the audience. I'm still not able to reach all of those around me. And there's not been one person, maybe besides one person in my family, that has, been honest and open about the things that I've been sharing, and you know, it's impacted them. But no one else has said anything, or even me, whether it's through sharing through this podcast or through social media, whatever it is, I haven't received anything back. And yet I've still continued to express myself and speak about all these different topics around neurodivergence. And I know it means nothing about me. I know that we live in the world we live in. It is controlled in terms of the systems we have, and a lot of the things that we share, it doesn't even get out there to the people who really need to hear it. They don't even see the things we share, and we know we live in a world of money, and we need to put money into our, you know, platforms and things that we're sharing, so other people can see it. Like, this is the world we live in. So I know it means nothing about me. I know these messages are really strong, and they're powerful, and they're going to, you know, resonate with so many people. So this dream is really just symbolic of my whole journey, and being autistic as well, you know, like how I struggled with self-expression, how I really struggled to, fully be, with my speech. And I know I'm repetitive in how I express myself. I say certain words, phrases, and repeat myself and whatever's going on. I know that I express myself imperfectly, but there's nothing wrong with me in how I express myself. It always comes from a place that's in alignment with my, inner child's lived experience. I know there's deep soul insights that are coming through. So I know what I'm sharing is in alignment with my soul's truth, with something more, deeper within me, and also my lived experience and how I see reality based on all of the things that I'm experiencing, what I'm in, through my neurodivergence. So I symbolically understand what this dream is all about. And being abandoned by my father at a very young age, this really, that's how I really struggle with self-worth and opening up and expressing myself. My heart was really, there was this barrier, there's this wall around my heart, and I struggle with self-expression as well because of that. And the wounded masculine energy that I carried as a result of that as well. So all of these things encompass everything within this dream about being open and expressing from a deeper place, and just opening, expanding up my own heart and connecting with those that are in resonance with, these messages that I'm sharing, and that can relate to something within their own journey and what they're going through and so forth. And that's what this whole journey is about. Regardless of all of that, I'm still expressing myself, regardless of not receiving the validation or anything on the outside. I'm still continuing to show up. Before we move on to the next segment, I'll get you to reflect on this one question. Have you ever had a dream that mirrored the pain you've tried to bury? The second segment we're going to get into is the wound of not being heard. So what this dream actually reflects, it reflects the wound of being silenced as a neurodivergent person. So being neurodivergent, how you experience the world is unlike any other. And you can't just paint one picture on, that's what a neurodivergent person looks like. That's, someone who with autism, that's what they look like. That's someone with ADHD, that's what they look like. There's so much that is going on, and you cannot put everybody into one category. And when you're someone who falls under the spectrum, you've already been given this label, and people already think they know what that is based on this societal view of it. And the thing about this is we're only just starting to uncover more underneath the surface on what it really is truly like as a neurodivergent person, because more people are opening up and expressing themselves based on their own experiences through that. And we're starting to see there's so much that we still don't understand. And when you're someone who is neurodivergent, you struggle the most to fully open up and express yourself because of the way others perceive that, being judged, being labeled with all these different things. All these things going on the outside, what reflects back to you is not in alignment with what you sense and you feel within yourself, because other people are only going to reflect back to you what, based on their perception, what they're aware of and so forth. And because so many people only see what's at a surface level, and that is what they're going to continue to reflect back to you. And so you're going to feel like you're not being seen, you're not being heard, and it's going to play on those core wounds of not being heard. And a lot of the time, a lot of us, we close ourselves off and we don't continue to step outside of that, regardless of what is reflecting back to us. And also what it reflects is rejection sensitivity that stems from abandonment and neglect. So in my case, being abandoned by my father at a very young age, this happened when I was still a child and I had my awareness still completely inside my body. And so because I didn't have this outward awareness, I didn't really know who I was yet. My brain survival brain did whatever it needed to do to protect me and adapt. So through the ADHD, the brain adapted to the conditional environment, to what was going on. And because I'm wired so intensely in my emotions and how I feel, not only in my emotions, but how I experience and what I'm aware of through my bodily sensations, through things that I can't see with my physical eyes, I feel around me, I feel in my body, and that's being more heightened since I've gone down this healing journey, because I'm expanding, I'm opening up, and I'm being more in alignment with my frequency coming from my soul, which means my body's holding more light, and so I'm even more sensitive in how I'm feeling, and that is my gift here on the planet. So what that is also going to do, it's going to bring up all of those core wounds when it comes to abandonment, and what reflects back to me is going to play on them. So I'm well aware of this, and this is why I know that currently what's reflecting back to me means nothing about me, and so I continue to express myself regardless of not receiving the external validation, not, other people not understanding me. I know it means nothing about me, and so that's me being aware of that, and that's me noticing and understanding when these core wounds do come up, and meeting that with love, compassion, acceptance, and that is so important as a neurodivergent being, to fully accept how you experience the world and know what's reflecting back at you means nothing about you. And also what it reflects is, why familiar environments often activate the deepest insecurities. So being in familiar environments, environments you grew up in. So for example, every time I go back to my hometown, I go back to, where I lived most of my life, it's going to bring up a lot of those core wounds. Those people around me, they're going to continue to reflect back to me how they see me based on their own experience, and all these familiar feelings within that environment. I know it's soaked up in that environment. I know it's going to continue to play on those core wounds of not being heard. And for example, for myself, being in these environments where, as a child, I was never really seen, heard, and understood. And in that environment, I grew up in a very loud environment, and everybody would shout over the top of each other, and no one would actually take the time to listen to the other person. So this is what this continues to bring up in these familiar environments for me. So this is what this dream is continuously reflecting. It's bringing all of these things up. So when you look at the energetic breakdown, so when you look at the voice disappearing, what it actually means is it's a suppression of soul truth. So I know that, my voice disappearing in this dream, it's a suppression of my soul truth. So I know that even though I'm expressing myself more openly, that, there's still things that I'm holding back about sharing, because other people will think I'm crazy about the things I'm going to talk about and open up about in the future. But I know that reality is far more complex than what you see in front of your eyes and what you are aware of. And there's so much that is going on that I'm continuing to unravel on this journey. And we do live in a very crazy world, and reality is not so simple, and it's really what you see playing out in the world is just the very beginning of what we're going to start to unravel and go through. So I know that I've got to continue to face everything on the outside with courage and an open heart, and continue to speak the things that I'm going to continue to embody through my soul and through my own journey experience. I've got to continue to express that with courage, regardless of how other people are perceiving it. Okay, so another thing is, everyone leaving in that dream, what that symbolizes is the fear of emotional abandonment. So this comes from that, being abandoned at a very young age, and why I struggled for so many years to be in a relationship. I didn't have my first relationship until I was around the age of 33 because, I was self-sabotaging at a subconscious level because I didn't feel I was worthy, or I didn't feel I was good enough, and this is where that stems from. And so me now expressing and sharing the things that I'm sharing, it's going to continue to play on those core wounds of, people, being misunderstood, people leaving and not engaging and not actually staying around to wanting to know and understand not only myself better, wanting to understand themselves better on a more deeper level, because it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey to face those core wounds and things that continue to come up in your own experience. And so I know that me sharing things is going to play on those things within others as well. And so I know this is part of it, and it means nothing about me if others stick around or not. And so I've got to continue to speak my truth regardless of that. So that this is what this is symbolizing, the fear of those around me, familiar faces, people coming into the community, then leaving me behind. And that, that is such one of the biggest core wounds that I'm having to face through this. And the setting, this is symbolic of family conditioning and societal dismissal. So, being around family, being around friends, familiar faces I've seen around, leaving me behind, in that environment. It reminds me of, say, being in the school environment I was in, feeling very isolated, not having a lot of friends, knowing that I was different and, trying to fit in, somewhat fit in and feel like I'm not all alone. So this is what this is bringing up, people not accepting me for me being authentic and being myself, and wanting to, go deeper in things I want to talk about, whether that's spiritually, through neurodivergence, through all the things I'm sharing and discussing. So I'm well aware that a lot of people don't have the capacity to expand at a more deeper level, because either afraid, there's a fear there, they're afraid of what they don't yet know and understand. And yeah, it's all, reality is all about awareness. And some people, it's too much for some people to have to face that. And so they're going to walk away because, it's stirring something within themselves. So I'm well aware this means nothing about me. So to summarize all the things I was just saying, this isn't just my story. So many autistic and ADHD voices have been labeled too intense, too emotional, too much. But what if we were never too much, just too real for those living in fear? So when you look at this through a spiritual lens, you don't need permission to speak your truth. The people who were never meant to see you will always misunderstand you, but the ones who resonate will feel you deeply. Before we move on to the next segment, I'll get you to reflect on this one question. Where in your life are you still softening your truth so others don't walk away? The third segment we're going to get into is reclaiming the voice that was silenced. So from masking to expression. Growing up, I learned to speak in ways that felt safe, pleasing, measured, digestible, but inside I was screaming. I had words I couldn't say because I didn't believe the world could hold them. So me sharing this podcast is the perfect, platform. It's perfect outlet for me to express all the things I wasn't able to do in the past. And I'm not only reclaiming my voice, I'm not only healing my heart from the experience of abandonment. Every time I record, I challenge the belief that I'm too much. I speak through the fear of being dismissed. I'm learning to express myself, stutters, pauses, intensity, and all without apology. And when you look at our theme song to this podcast, all about breaking free from limitations, celebrating neurodivergent voices, and unlocking the power of authenticity. And it's all about those who feel misunderstood and stuck in a world that doesn't get them. And regardless of all that, they're still being the most authentic and unapologetic self. They're still expressing beyond, that fear of others judging them, of others not accepting them, of others, pointing out their imperfections in how they express themselves, and, really wanting to take them down. And this is, regardless of all this happening on the outside, me doing this and knowing that whatever's reflecting back to me means nothing about who I am. Because the more I open up and express myself, the more I'm healing, the more I'm actually stepping into and becoming more authentically aligned, and more, I'm also embodying more of my soul's frequency and light, and I'm actually changing things from the inside out. And I'm not letting anything on the outside to stop me from stepping into that version of myself, because I know it means nothing about me. I know that this whole journey is about, you being the most authentic and aligned version of yourself, regardless of anything on the outside. And that is how reality is working, from the inside out. And so this is when we start to face these things from the inside, and we start to change things from the inside, then on the outside, regardless of anything going on, we start to put out that frequency that's in alignment with others who are going to resonate, who are going to really feel, the frequency of those messages and the words. And it's all a vibration thing. People feel that, and it impacts them, in whether they're aware of it or not. They're going to feel it in their bones. It's going to resonate with something within their own journey. And this is why I do what I do. I'm facing all of these things regardless of, I'm knowing and understanding, my whole journey is not about needing the validation. It's about speaking my truth and stepping into and becoming more of an authentic and aligned version of myself. And, at some point, I'm going to reach those who are in resonance with those messages that I'm sharing. And it's so important that I continue to do this. So when you look at the reversal of the dream ended with my voice lost. But here I am speaking, sharing, and in doing that, I'm reversing the energetic imprint. I'm reclaiming what was taken. So what I'm actually doing is I'm coming back home to myself. I'm realigning myself from the inside out. I'm embodying all that I already am, and I'm not letting anything on the outside continue to take away from what was already mine, what was always mine. And this isn't an egotistic thing. This is just me facing what's reflecting back to me on the outside with courage and an open heart, regardless of the judgment, regardless of, people walking away, whatever's going on. I know who I am. And it's important that I continue to face that, and I continue to speak up my truth. I continue to share from an authentic place, a place that's in alignment with my soul's truth and my lived experience of my inner child. And that's all that we are all here to do. We're just coming back home to ourselves. So, your voice is your vibration. So when you reclaim it, you shift your timeline. You stop repeating the pattern of suppression, and you start living the truth of embodiment. So like I mentioned before, your voice is your vibration. And when you start to, you reclaim your voice, and you still face those things that are reflecting back to you with courage and an open heart, that is when you really start to embody all that you already are, you're taking that back. You're taking back your true authentic power, and through that you're actually changing, not only through your own experience, you're creating an impact, a vibrational impact in the world, regardless of regardless of how others are perceiving that you are creating an impact. And you've got to continue to stand strong in your truth, because nobody can know you better than you can know yourself. And the more you know about yourself underneath the surface, the more you start to change, your energetic frequency, and you become more in alignment with who you're here to be. Before we move on, I'll get you to reflect on this one question. What would happen if you said what you really felt, even if no one clapped? We're coming to the end of today's episode, and I have a final reflection for you. Sometimes healing doesn't come from being heard. It comes from choosing to speak anyway, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one listens, even when it shakes. So the key takeaways to today's episode are: dreams can reveal the energetic blocks still playing out in your life. Losing your voice often reflects trauma, not weakness. You don't need validation to speak powerfully. Your truth is your medicine, even when it's misunderstood. And the throat chakra isn't just about speaking clearly, it's about speaking authentically. If this episode's resonated with you, share it with someone else who's finding their voice again. And if you're on a path of reclaiming your truth, you can explore more healing tools and guidance at innermagicacademy.com. And this podcast was really important for me to start this podcast this year, because this is the first step towards actually building a community that's in resonance, that's in alignment with not only someone who is a neurodivergent, not only someone who's moving down a healing journey, but somebody who's stepping into and becoming who they're here to be on the planet. And that is to change things from the inside out, and is to be in alignment with their soul's truth. And it's not only embodying more of that, it's also understanding through their inner child's lived experience that none of this was for nothing. What your inner child went through isn't going to be for nothing. And me doing this is a way in which I'm not only healing the heart, it's also I'm showing them that what you went through is actually going to impact others in the world, because you have so much wisdom to share through your experience. And my soul also has a lot of deep insights and things that when I'm embodying and I'm expressing, it's allowing me to look at reality far beyond how things are playing out at this human level. There's so much more that we can't see, and we can't see and understand, that our soul knows and our soul can see. And our soul, that's what our intuition is. It's taken us down this path. And the more I share these podcast episodes, the more I'm expanding, I'm opening up to all these deep insights and thoughts. And this is where my episode ideas come from. It just keeps going and going and going. And I'm just allowing myself to go down that path. And this is what, this is here for. And I really, I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm so grateful for you listening to the podcast. And I'm so glad that it's, resonating with something on your experience, and it's giving you something, it's giving you another way to look at your own experience, and not keep you in, feeling like there's no way out, and that you're suffocating what you're in. It's giving you the space you need to not only move through what you need to move through, it's giving you that hope that there's something far more there for you in this lifetime, and there is. Your soul didn't put you here for no reason. Your soul put you here to go through what you did, all for a purpose. And this is why I do what I do, because I'm helping you remember that within yourself. Thanks for being here with me on the Inner Magic Academy podcast. Each word I speak is a step toward wholeness for me and hopefully for you. Your voice is sacred. Your truth is enough. Until next time, speak even when it's hard. Your soul came here to be heard. I love you. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode. If you enjoyed it, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to our channel and give us a like or even a comment. It really does help so much in getting our work out there to the people who need it. We're so grateful for you being here, and we'll see you for the next episode.